From Nutrien Ag Solutions, this is Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your Canadian Prairie weather story for Monday, May 17th, 2021. We'll start off with the hazards map here across the Prairie provinces. An air quality alert there in central Alberta. We've also got the yellow shading there. That's a winter storm watch across northern portions of Manitoba. Wouldn't be surprised, I should say, to see some of that expanding across portions of northern Alberta into northern Saskatchewan. We do have a storm system making its way in. We've been talking about this all of last week, knowing that there's the potential that the pattern could shift into a more active regime across the Prairie provinces. And we're seeing kind of the initial stages of that here as we head through the middle part of this week here. And you can see the storm system now moving in across British Columbia, starting to see the faster jet stream winds. I apologize with the glitch here, but those stronger jet stream winds lifting into central and northern portions of Alberta. And that's why, again, the risk for accumulating snow here in a corridor from northern Alberta into northern Manitoba. And that's the reason for the winter storm watches beginning to appear across the region. Now, in advance of that, you see kind of the inverted U shape here. That's our ridge of high pressure that's allowed record-breaking warmth to slide into a big chunk of the prairie over the last couple of days, and for a lot of folks for today and maybe even tomorrow, before we do likely trend cooler as we get into later part of the week. Now, looking at the radar, we do have some precipitation across portions of northern and western Alberta coming in off the Rockies, so in the Peace River area into northern Alberta, maybe as far south as Edmonton, seeing some of that precipitation as we head through the day today. Otherwise dry across much of the prairie as we head through the next 24 to 36 hours or so. So we'll take a look at the NAM model, and that'll get us through the next 3.5 days. Again, dry today across much of the area with that ridge still in place. It's going to be another warm and sunny day. With showers beginning to move in across central portions of Alberta, kind of north of Highway 16 as we get into the overnight hours. We start to see the storm system emerge tomorrow. That's when we'll see this band of snow from north central Alberta, likely a little bit north of Calgary here, probably north of the Edmonton area as well, and then certainly well north of the Prairie as we get into portions of northern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. South of that, there will be some scattered showers, especially across southeastern Saskatchewan into Manitoba. It's going to be hit or miss in nature, and certainly over the next 24 to 72 hours, the heaviest precipitation is going to be off to the north here with this system. So this is storm system number 1 here, swinging through, kind of the early instigator, helping to shift this pattern into a more favorable pattern for precipitation across the region. So as we look at the total accumulated precipitation here by precipitation type, you can see the distribution here. You look at the top left, that's where we're seeing total liquid precipitation, well, okay, that's bad phrasing. That's where we're seeing rain coming down to the surface. And then as you look down at the bottom left there, that's where you're seeing the snowfall forecast. You see the corridor of accumulating snow from kind of north central Alberta into far northern Saskatchewan and Alberta. Also the chance for some freezing rain and sleet with that, especially as you get into northern portions of, again, Saskatchewan and Alberta. Now I'll put side by side the NAM on the left, European on the right. Good agreement there. Again, this is just through Thursday afternoon, so this covers this first storm system. This is not the big one that we're waiting for. I was going to say, if you're in, southern portions of the prairie here, you're seeing this big dry swath where you're being missed by the more significant precipitation. Hopefully you feel a bit better as I show you the next 10 days here. This is not the only storm system. Unfortunately, it does look like maybe there's a drier corridor in there being forecast across southern Alberta into western and maybe southwestern portions of Saskatchewan. We'll have to kind of watch that, maybe the drier spot, but there are going to be opportunities abound here as we head through the next 10 days as the jet stream transitions into this pattern that favors troughing across western Canada into the western United States. Remember, this is what we were kind of talking about last week, looking for this big trough to set up across this region, this big upper level low. The models were struggling to figure out, whether that was actually going to happen. There were a lot of signals that said it should, but there were some that were, building a huge ridge of high pressure into the region and keeping it hot and dry through the entire next 10-day forecast, and that just didn't quite feel right. but it's hard to give a very certain forecast when the models are completely all over the place and advertising anything from hot and dry to cool and stormy. So luckily, it does look like the cooler, stormy pattern is what we're going to be getting here over the next 10 days. We're just going to have to watch it day by day to try and nail down where the specifics are going to be setting up here as far as heaviest corridors of precipitation. Busy pattern, often busy, or a busy pattern often tricky to nail down here with all of the moving parts. But here's the first system. This is getting into Monday night and now coming into the day on Tuesday. You see the main corridor of precipitation lifting across the region as we get into it later in the day, Tuesday night, and now we're getting into the day on Wednesday. Strong winds on the backside here, so I know this is north of the the better part of the Prairie, the ag belt here, but this is going to be an impactful storm system off to the north with some gusty winds and some accumulating snow in that region. And again, showers on the south side of that. But as we get into the end of the week, this is now Friday. Getting into Saturday, you see another wave beginning to lift across the region. We're watching for another storm system, another upper level low to swing through the northern and central Rockies down across the U.S. That's going to, impact the weather down there, bringing rain back to the northern plains where they badly need it. But additionally, this is going to be subsequent chances for precipitation across the region as we get into the weekend and then on into next week. Side by side, the European ensemble, the GFS ensemble, both of those with the drier corridor across portions of maybe southern, south central Alberta into western Saskatchewan. We'll have to watch that, but a large swath of the Prairie looking at getting significant moisture over the next 10 days plus as we go through the end of June. Temperatures, they are off to a mild start, but they will be cooling as we head later into the week. That is a byproduct of the upper level low, more in the way of cloud cover, precipitation, cooler temperatures being drawn into the region. So this was also something we were kind of watching last week, knowing that it would be mild heading through the weekend into early next week, but also knowing that if we do get this transition back toward rainy, which we think will happen sometime, it is also going to trend us into a cooler direction. So you can see those in your 10-day temperature forecast. 26 for the high today. In Calgary, all the way down to 9 for the high Wednesday and Thursday, with maybe a more wintry vibe across the region here, and the potential to pick up on a little bit of that snow with the storm system generally passing off to the north. Edmonton, same story. Maybe a little bit of snow from this system as it lifts generally north of the region. Cooler temperatures on the backside, though. Saskatoon and Regina, you will also be cooling down, and you're not going to escape the cool down in Winnipeg either, though you do hold on to it a little bit longer. You hold on to the warmth with that ridge across the region here, still touching the upper 20s to near 30 all the way through Wednesday before you cool down late week into the weekend. If you haven't already, again, sign up for the Canadian Prairie Weather Intelligence Report. This goes out daily. This is how you can follow along with me with the specifics, the changes. I talk to you once a week on Monday with this weekly video, kind of set the table for the rest of the week, but I can't give you the specifics on the forecast here 5 to 7 days out, but you can get those with this report. It shows up in your inbox every morning. Go to info.nutrien.com/Pritchard_weather_CA. That'll get you enrolled. Anyone is welcome to join.